thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you had an amazing break. We are going to start something new today. We're diving right into Tableau, which is super exciting because Tableau is an amazing visualization tool. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We've got lots to do. We're going to just jump right into it. So let's first look at our Tableau information. Let me make sure I can see everything. So ideally, and hopefully you all have downloaded Tableau Public. So that's what we're going to be using today. There is also a web version of Tableau Public, which has slight differences, just in case you haven't, just in case you weren't able to download Tableau Public. So if you don't have it right now, then you can go ahead and just type in Tableau Public, and I'll share actually the link for you in one moment, and you can just use the web-based version. But there are some slight functionality differences, so some things might be in different places. So ideally, we'll be using the desktop version of Tableau Public. All right. So, and then if you have any errors with if you've already started trying to make your dashboard amazing, we're going to get into any errors that you've had, and don't worry, we'll solve all of them. But first, let's understand a little bit about what we're going to do today. So we have a CSV file, which is very similar to Excel, except it's going to be separated by commas. So this is actually a text file. This is not an Excel file, even though it's going to open up in Excel just fine. So with our CSV file, we are a member of the business analytics team of Simply Music, and that's going to be a Florida-based musical instrument store that's growing at a pretty fast pace, as we're going to see soon with all of their sales and revenue. So with the data that we have, we're trying to create a sales dashboard for management to use to display their sales and also to get more details about what is selling where. So we are going to use Tableau to build this dashboard, which is one of the leading business intelligence tools, and you're going to see why in a moment. So ideally with our dashboard, we want to address these questions. How have our sales, revenue, and profits evolved over time? What are the locations with the highest number of sales and profit? And what are the items with the highest numbers of sales, profit, and revenue across product description, product type, product line, location, customer, age group, and state of delivery? So that's a doozy, but we can actually just kind of jam this into one visualization. So we'll see this soon. So this sounds like a lot, but we're going to break Tableau into two lectures. So we're going to have two sessions for Tableau because it is just that amazing. So this is going to be the file that we're using. I'll go ahead and download this again. You're going to notice it says Tableau 4, but that's just because I've downloaded it 4 times. Probably more, but I've deleted some of them. So this is the one that we're using. Just in case you don't have it already, this is what we'll use today. So just a little bit about Tableau before we get right into it. So as I mentioned, Tableau is going to be a business intelligence tool. You might have heard of other tools like Power BI or Looker Studio. For Looker Studio, we're actually going to have a session about Looker Studio and creating the exact same dashboard, but in Looker Studio, just so you get the skills for both, because it's important to have a really good repertoire for these different tools. There's also going to be something that you can learn on your own for Power BI that's already in Codio for you to review. But it's really important to know not only how to analyze your data, but how to make it a story, because you're going to be talking to non-experts in your field. They're not going to know anything about what you're talking about. So dashboards and data visualization is a really good way to get your key points across. So you can see in Tableau Public, which is really cool. If you click here, I've already picked out a dashboard that I thought was cool. So if you click here, you can see some dashboards that other people have made. So I picked a video game one because I love my video games. So you can see just how well this is actually like a lot of data. This is probably maybe like hundreds of thousands of data that you can just jam and concise into one dashboard. So here we see we have a filter, so we can select which year we want to see the sales for, and you can have this range, and you see it's going to change based on this range. We also see these different genres. So we're getting sales counts for each specific genre. We're seeing the scatter plot based upon sales by location. We're also seeing this bar plot or bar chart that is showing these different percentages. So we're getting a lot of information just in one dashboard. So this is why these tools are really, really important. And Roya has a great question. Is Tableau better or more easy or better access than Excel? They work well together. So I would say you actually need them to work together because you have your data in Excel first. You're never going to have clean data. So you clean your data, you do your analysis, and then you pop your Excel chart, pop your Excel workbook into Tableau. And that's a good way to really make your visualizations pop. So that's an excellent question. Okay, so let's jump right into it. We're going to go ahead and start with Tableau. So with this, I'm going to, after we go over this, I'm going to switch over just to the Tableau window, but I'm still going to be going in order in Codio, just in case you want to follow along with me. Or if you prefer to just be on Tableau, that's okay, because I'll tell you what you need to know. Okay, so it's good to plan out the dashboard that you want. So how are you going to organize the different components of your dashboard? So this is kind of a general plan that we can have here. We have our company logo, we can have a date picker and scorecards at the upper right. And then these are the visualizations that we want that we're going to create today. So we have our line charts for profit and revenue, another line chart for sales, a grouped bar chart for profit and revenue, and then a bar chart for sales. So this is going to be one of the dashboards that we're making. We're going to make a bird's eye view page. And then on Thursday, you're going to create the detailed view. So I won't go into this as much since you'll be doing that one on Thursday. Okay, so let's begin the switch. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to Tableau. Again, let me just give you this link in case anyone wasn't able to download Tableau. So ideally, we're going to use the desktop version of Tableau. So we're going to use Tableau Public Desktop, but I really don't want you to just not be able to participate and not be able to do the exercises if you haven't had it downloaded. So if you haven't downloaded it, Tableau Desktop, then go ahead and create an account on Tableau Public and just use the web version. That's okay too. Okay, so just to double check, is my screen okay for everyone? Can you see this okay? Because I have a mega wide screen, so okay, I'm seeing a lot of yes. Great, that's what I love to see. So if you open Tableau, this is likely going to be the first thing that you see. And see if I can get my annotation. There it is. This is likely going to be the first thing that you see. So you see this is going to be your data source. And if not, maybe it's asking you to choose a data source. That's okay as well. So once you select choose your data source, you should see a screen that is just like this. Keep in mind, we're using our simply music. So we're using that CSV file that is somewhere buried in live chat, but it's also in Codio. And again, this is a text file. This is not an Excel file. So you're going to make sure that you're clicking text file right here. So we're going to click text file. It's going to look for Tableau music. So likely if you just downloaded this, it's going to be in your downloads. So we're just going to click on the file, click on Simply Music, then we're going to click Open. And Tableau is going to think for a moment while it loads our data. So once your data has loaded, so once you are able to upload it with that text file, this is what you should see. So you're going to see this right here. So you see, instead of actually having to open up your data again in Excel and then kind of check through the columns and see what variables you have, you can look at all of this here in Tableau. All of your data is going to be present. So this is our first step. We have all of our data here. We've got our product key, we've got a time key, we've got units sold, dollars sold. We have all of our data that we need. So now we can actually begin with our visualization. Now that we've seen how our data looks and we can do a little bit of modeling with our data, this is what we're going to do. So Just make sure that if you haven't downloaded this, if you haven't downloaded Tableau Public, you're on the Tableau Public version. You shouldn't have to do any free trials or anything for Tableau Public. It should just ask you to create a free account, and then you'll be able to log in. So just make sure it's Tableau Public, which I think I still have it here. So I'll copy and paste. So yeah, Tableau Public. Oh, yep, Eric beat me to it. Perfect. Okay. So now we have our data here. And let's start with our first visualization. So one thing that you'll notice, and hopefully you're able to see this, you see at the very bottom, we have sheet 1. And then next to sheet 1, you see that we have something with a plus that looks like it has some charts on it. And then we have another thing that looks like a window pane, and we have a book. We're going to ignore the book for now, but we're going to focus on this thing with a chart on it and the window pane. So you'll see that we can actually just go to this first sheet, which is called sheet 1, and this is what you're going to see immediately. So you see all of our variables are actually going to be on the left-hand side, and we can click on them, we can drag them places, we can rename them. You can do a lot to manipulate these variables. So now they're at our disposal. So if we want to create a visualization, what we're going to do is drag these variables to either column or rows. And in some cases, just dragging them directly into this sheet. So let's first start with renaming this. So let's make our first visualization, and let's call this one location of sales. So if you want to rename one of your sheets, you can either just double click it like this, or you can right click and then rename, whichever works best for you. But I just like to double click it. And let's say this is our location of sales. So we have this here, keeps getting rid of my laser pointer. So we have our location of sales here. Now let's also prepare our dashboard, because remember, we are using these sheets to make our visualizations, and then we're going to take the visualizations and put them onto our dashboard. So right here is what we're going to click if we want to make extra sheets. So it's fine if you just click it again and you see you get another one. But here you'll see this kind of like window pane. This is going to, if you hover over it, it says new dashboard. So this one, new worksheet, and then new dashboard. So you'll notice that if we click on new dashboard, this looks completely different. And one of the things you might also notice is we have our sheets here on the side. So these are going to be the visualizations that we make. And every time you make a visualization with your sheet, you can click it and then drag it into your dashboard. So that's what we're going to do later. So let's just name our dashboards now. Remember from the start, we're going to do our bird's eye view, and then we're going to do our detailed view. So let's just rename this. This is bird's eye view. And then I'm just going to make another dashboard by clicking on this kind of window pane. And I'm going to call this one detailed view. So just double click and then start typing. Detailed view. Okay. So just checking live chat for a moment. So I think, okay, so I see our TAs, our amazing TAs are on some of this. So if it's thinking for a bit, when you upload your data, sometimes Tableau might think for a bit. That's okay. It hopefully will resolve in a couple of minutes, but then you should see this screen after it's done thinking. So sometimes it takes a little long to think, but afterwards you should see this screen. And then to change the language, I'm not sure. I think you would have to do this from the Tableau Public settings. So you'll have to go on to Tableau Public, I'm thinking, and then change your parameters within the account. So you'll have to go online first and then change your settings and then probably refresh Tableau. But I'm not 100% sure how to change the language there. Okay. Any other questions before we move on to our first dashboard. Oh, amazing. And Hakeem found the language. Thanks so much. So you're saying it's in help. Amazing. Choose language, and then you can choose it. Thank you, Hakeem. That's a weird thing to put it in help, but so for Tableau, the one tricky thing is if I make the window bigger, it's actually going to be smaller for you all. So this is going to be kind of the max I can do. Unfortunately, I can try to play around with it a little bit, but I can't zoom in Tableau Public. That's the only thing. But I think in Zoom, it's the actual, not zooming in, but like Zoom. I think it allows you to zoom in, hopefully, so you can make it a bit bigger. Okay, so let's go on for our visualization. So yes, so if you're still on this kind of circle of doom, all we've done is just created some dashboard placeholders and some visualization placeholders. If it's taking a little longer to load, then yeah, that's kind of the tricky thing. Sometimes it's a bit slow. But once you're able to, all we've done so far is we've created this visualization here. So we've created this location of sales, but it's empty, so we haven't done anything yet. And to do that, you just click here. So where you see the chart. So clicking here is going to give you the chart. And this is what appears here. So if you want to make another worksheet, then this is what happens. So if I click here, you see it's going to give me another sheet, just like this one. So that's what this one does. That's all we've done so far here. And then we've also created a placeholder for our dashboard. So if you want to create a dashboard, if you hover over this, you see it says new dashboard. And what you'll do is once you click this, I'll just click it so you can see, it'll give you a new dashboard. Once you're in your dashboard, just double click that and rename them. So our first dashboard, we're just naming bird's eye view, then double click for your second, and that's going to be called detailed view. So that's all we've done so far. We haven't done too much. And I'll just get rid of this extra one. So any questions? And hopefully the circle of doom, those of you that have it, that will load soon. So yes, sorry about that. Sometimes Tableau does this. All good. Okay, awesome. So far, so good. All good. So what I just mentioned is kind of all that we've done so far with our data upload. So once you're past data source, so once you're before this one, what you'll do is you'll just click text file. Once you click text file, you're going to go into Simply Music. And then once you've opened Simply Music, you'll see this. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start our first visualization. So we've kind of just planned out everything. So we're putting our placeholders in for our dashboard, and we're putting our placeholders to create our visualizations right now. So now that that is all done, we actually notice that we don't have profit or revenue anywhere. So if you look in all of our variables, if you look channel, customer age group, customer key, we don't have anything that's profit or revenue, which is something that's really important for businesses to see how well they're actually selling. So we do have something called dollars sold, and we do have our different unit prices. So with our units sold and our cost, we can use this to create our total cost. From our total cost, we can use this to create profit. So let me first put our field for total cost. So I'm just going to type this out for you so you can see it in live chat. So total cost is going to equal units sold times cost. And this is going to be how these variables appear in Tableau. So put that there. So this is going to be how we can calculate the total cost for each of our items. And then afterwards, we're going to use this to create our profit. But first, let's think about how to create this total cost. So you can actually create your own fields within Tableau. To do this, So if I'm just in, you see this kind of separate white area on the left-hand side for Tableau, where all of my variables are. If I right-click this, you'll notice I have all of these different parameters, and I can create a calculated field. So this is how I create a new variable with the variables that I already have. So you're going to go ahead, and again, to do this, you just right-click. So right-click with your mouse. And if you're on a Mac, you'll have to hold Control and then right-click, or hold Control and then click. And then I'm going to click my Create Calculated Field. So you'll see kind of this white box here, and you might say, okay, what do I even do here? First, we want to rename this from calculation 1 because that's not very descriptive. And we're going to change this to total cost because right now we are calculating the total cost. So we're using exactly what Sam has helpfully posted in live chat. And the total cost, again, is units sold times the cost. Tableau is really smart and it allows you to use your variables to create new fields. So you'll notice as I start typing units sold, it's going to try to predict what I'm asking for. So it sees that I have something in my data called unit price, and I also have something in my data called units sold. I would highly, highly recommend that you just click on this instead of fully typing it. So go ahead and just click on this because if you don't type it exactly as it's shown in your variables, you're going to have an error. So another thing that we can do, I'm not quite sure which part you want me to repeat, but if we are, we'll just kind of start from the top. So what we did, we right click, we create calculated field, and then we're just renaming this first part to total cost. And since our formula is going to be units sold times cost, I'm going to start by typing in units sold. And Tableau, it's super smart. It's going to start figuring out what I want. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on units sold. So now we have to we have to multiply this by cost. So we just do star cost. And you'll see that it's going to start predicting as before. One thing that's going to be very important, you'll know this is okay when at the bottom it says the calculation is valid. So this means Tableau is happy, you don't have any errors in your calculation. So once you see this, you're okay to hit OK. And now you'll notice we have this new parameter called total cost. So before we move on to calculate profit, are we okay? Oh, so yes. Another thing, so if you don't have any white space, what you can also do, as Mike also mentioned, you can just click on this arrow right here. So you can click on this arrow, and then you can click Create Calculated Field. So you can do that too. So for calculated field, you just right click anywhere within here. So you just right click anywhere in this box and then create calculated field, or you can click on this arrow right here. And so just double check. So if it's saying you have some errors, I think Tableau might not like spaces. So don't put any spaces in between units sold and cost. Just have units sold star cost. I think it might be upset with spaces for some reason. Awesome. I see total cost in live chat. So if you have an error, just make sure you haven't done a different calculation. So I'll show you this again. We can look in here and then edit. So just make sure it looks exactly like this. So units sold times cost. And you'll notice I don't have any spaces in between my star. Another thing is make sure that you don't use the X. So X isn't for multiplication in Tableau. You're going to have to use the star. And make sure there are no spaces in between units sold and the multiplication symbol. So no spaces anywhere. So if your cost shouldn't be in ABC. If that's the case, then maybe just download the file again because this file is right from Codio. So your cost should be a numerical value. It shouldn't be ABC. So just double check that it's not product type or anything or any of the customer keys. But if it's not, then just go ahead and re-download that file. And amazing, Eric's got the tip for making sure cost is a number. So yes, so if you right click here, maybe somehow it got turned to string, which is very odd. But if you just right click, so right click here, then you can get this and just make sure it's a number decimal. Okay, are we okay with this one? Are we okay with total cost? Okay, awesome. See a yes from Alex, yes from Priyanka. See lots of yeses. Okay, that makes me happy. Great. Yes, in all caps, love it. Okay, so now that we have our total cost, what you'll have to do is do this similar thing, but now we're going to create profit. So you're going to use the same steps that we've done, create a calculated field, and using this formula, so I'll give you the formula again because it's disappeared. So we're going to do profit equals dollars sold minus total cost. And Sam's beat me to it again. Thank you, Sam. So make sure you're using this formula here to calculate profit. And I'll give you about a minute for this one, and then we'll do this together. So let me share my countdown for you. Let's get some tunes, even though you've heard these tunes 1,000,001 times, but maybe 1,000,002 can't hurt, right? So we'll give you about a minute for this. And then if you have errors, just make sure there are no spaces between units sold and cost. So there shouldn't be any spaces. Tableau doesn't like the spaces. Okay, I love seeing all the profits in live chat. Amazing. Let's go over this together. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do almost the exact same thing, except now we are calculating profit. So what you can do is we're going to click either here if maybe you don't have any space, or you can right click here to create a calculated field, just like before. And then we're going to rename this again because calculation 1 is not a good name. So we're going to call this profit. So once we have done this, remember that profit is going to be dollars sold. So you see, as I type it, it's already coming up. And I'm just going to click on that instead of finishing to type it. So I'm just going to click on dollars sold minus, with no spaces, so make sure not to have any spaces, total cost. And you see now it's happy. Before it's like, I don't know what you're doing. You've got this minus symbol and nothing after it. But now I have the value. I've completed the calculation and it is okay. So just make sure right here, there are no spaces on either side of your minus symbol. So now we'll hit OK. And you see that profit is going to appear right here. So well done. And if yours is happy with spaces, awesome. You might have maybe an earlier version or a later version, but I've seen Other people's have been very mad at the spaces. So space is kind of, it's up in the wind. So now we have profit, and let's continue with our visualization. So what you can do is you can actually create visualizations like I mentioned before. You can create these visualizations by clicking and dragging these into different fields. So if I just want to create a quick visualization with profit, for example, what I can do is I can click on profit and then I can drag it. If you want to drag it here, you'll see it's actually going to create this. So it's going to create a scorecard, which we'll go over later. Don't worry about that. But all I'm doing is I'm clicking this, clicking on profit, and whoops, I clicked it too hard. I'm clicking on profit, and then I'm dragging it here. That's one way you can do it. Or to create different types of visualizations, as we're going to do later on, we can take profit and drag it into columns or into rows. So you'll notice that it's going to automatically create this chart here for profit. And I'm going to click on Show Me. So when you click on Show Me, it tells you all the different visualizations that you can create. So we have all of these different visualizations here. You'll also notice that some of them are going to be grayed out, and that's because we don't have the appropriate dimensions for them yet. So some of them are saying, hey, you need to put something in rows, or you need to have one more dimension in order to create these different ones. So we'll play around with this in this lesson. And then if we want to turn this into a different visualization, what we can do is click here. So if we turn this into a different visualization, we can now turn this into a histogram. And you see it's added a bit of extra information. So let me just turn off the notification. We'll turn off my sound now so you don't hear the Slack every 2 seconds. There you go. So this is our first visualization, and we're going to do so many more. Another thing, a quick test. Does anyone, it's not the best histogram, but what do you think this histogram distribution is? Kind of a throwback from our stats. What does this histogram distribution kind of sort of look like? Bringing the stats back in. You can't escape the stats. Yes, so it might be confusing because we have all of these kind of mini ones. But if we had more data points, if this were together, this would be right skewed. So just remember, the side of the tail is going to be the side of the skew. So whichever part you see the tail on, that's going to be the skew. So it is right skew. Well done. Okay, so don't worry, this is actually not going to be something we're going to use. We're going to do our visualizations again. So I'm actually going to, I'll make a new visualization after this. So let's go over this again with a visualization that we're actually going to use. So now let's build one of our visualizations for our bird's eye view. So first we're going to start by creating a worksheet called revenue versus profit. So what I'm going to do is remember to create a new sheet. And again, remember the sheets are where our visualizations are. So I'm clicking this new worksheet here, clicking the new worksheet, and you can either right click and then click rename, or you can double click and then just start typing. So going to be revenue versus profit is going to be the name of our visualization. And it's important to name these properly because remember, as we go into our dashboard, this is what we see. We get a bit of a preview of everything, but it's important to name them for what they describe. So looking at revenue versus profit, of course, we want to use our profit somehow. So in this case, we're going to take profit and dollars sold. So if you're following along with me on Codio, we're on page 11 right now. So we're going to select both profit and dollars sold. So dollar sold is going to be our revenue. It's just kind of a weird name for it, but we'll rename it later on. So if you're still getting those errors for those calculated fields, just remember no spaces in between. So some versions of Tableau aren't happy with the spaces. So make sure to remove spaces between your minus symbol. So what we'll do is we're going to take our profit. So I'm going to click on profit. If you want to also select something else, select another variable that's kind of not adjacent to it, what you'll do is you'll hold control. So hold the control key. I won't do it for too long because it might do some like sticky keys. So I'm going to hold control and then I'm going to click dollar sold. So now you see it's going to select both of these together. So now that I have both dollar sold and profit selected, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this over to columns. So I dragged it over to columns, or actually I'm going to drag it to rows. I'm going to put this in rows. So you get to see both. So let's do it again. So click on profit, hold control, click on dollar sold. Now I'm just going to drag it on over to rows. That's our first step. We're not quite done with this visualization because overall we're going to make a line chart. And remember, line charts are going to look at data over time. So we need something that's going to give us a time key. So to do this, we actually have our variable called time key, and we're going to click on this and drag it over to columns. So when I click and drag, I'm just clicking, I'm holding my mouse down, and then I drag all the way over. So this is almost what we want. We're almost there, but this is not looking like the line chart we want. We want both lines on the same plot. So to do this, we're going to click on Show Me. So we're going to click Show Me. And then we're going to click until we see our dual lines. So we want both lines on the same chart. So both lines on the same chart. So this is almost there, except right now, if you'll notice, the unit is 2018 to 2019. This is not helpful because we can't see the profit and revenue month by month. We know it has a downwards trend, but it's better to see how profit changes by each month. So to do this, we're going to right click. So I'm going to right click, and then you'll notice that I have month right here. So you see right now it's on year, but I want to change this to month right here. Don't use this one. We want to use this one because it also adds the year. So make sure it's the second one. So I click, and now you see I have it where it's showing me the profit and revenue for each month. So that one's a bit better. Okay. So for time key just comes from here. So what you do is you click and drag time key into columns. So you just click and drag and release your mouse there. Once you do that, you're going to right click, and then you're going to change this to month. So we can actually see how it changes month by month. No problem. And to show this, I'm right clicking on time key. So just right clicking on time key, and then I'm going to click month. Yep. So just checking for other questions first. So you should be able to change this to month if you right click on time key and then you scroll down to month. If you just select here, you should be able to change it here. So it's not the fact that you have different time keys. You're just going to use this general time key. Then you're going to grab and you're going to put it here in columns. Then you right click and then change this to month. And amazing, I see some plots in live chat. Well done. What is one thing that you notice about this graph that may be kind of like a data analyst red flag? Is there anything that you notice? Massive spike, spike, peak in May. See more typing, just want to get a chance for other people to speak. Outlier. So one thing, Gilbert's saying inconsistency. So yeah, missing data, which is actually really important. One thing that's actually important to know is profit, you see, is on one scale. So we're going from 0K to 3,500K. But dollars sold, aka revenue, is going from 0 million to 18 million. So this is actually scaling our axes, or y-axes, on two different axes, which can actually make it seem like we don't have that much revenue. So it's not ideal to have two different axes like this because it can mess up your interpretation of the graph. So that's just one of the things. If you want to change this, mind you, you don't have to. You can just leave it like this. It's okay. But if you want to change this, we can right click. You can right click on either of the axes. We can right click, and then we can click synchronize axis. And now you see they're on the same scale. So it's just data storytelling, because if someone's looking at your visualization just very quickly, they might just say, if we have this, oh, interesting. Okay, your revenue and profit are kind of the same. That's a bit strange, but this is telling a completely different story than this. So just a caveat for you to see. So yeah, so just saying that before, this was what our visualization looked like initially. So we have this profit axis. It has a different scale than our dollars sold. In the world of data visualization and data science, that's a big no-no. That's kind of skewing how you're seeing the data. It can skew people's perceptions. So it's better to have the same scaling. It's better to have the same y-axis. So to do this, you can right-click on the axis. Doesn't matter which one you choose. Either axis will show you the same thing. So you right-click on the axis, and then you click on synchronize axis, and it will show you this instead. So now you see our y-axis on both sides are going to be equal. No problem. Okay, any other questions before we move on to exercise 2? Better, awesome. No questions. See more typing. Clear, awesome, love to see that. Yes, you can. So if you want to add more variables, you can keep stacking the lines. Yes, you can add more variables here if you want to. Great question. And the formulas, Sam might beat me to this again, but yes. As soon as I type it, I know Sam's gonna copy and paste it. Thank you, Sam. Amazing. So there it is. There are the formulas. Yes, the synchronized axis is still giving the answer. So you're still having the same scale. You're still having the same data, except now it's on the same scale. So it's not like it's changing the numbers at all. It's just showing you them on the same y-axis, so you can better compare revenue and profit. That's a great question. Okay, awesome. So now feel free to keep typing out your questions. What we're going to do is move on to exercise 2. And now what you'll do is you're going to do sales over time. So very similar to what we're doing now, you want to create a line chart, but this time we're creating sales over time. To do this, instead of having, as you see, instead of having profit in dollars sold, we just want our units sold. So you need to replace this with units sold, but we still want to see our month to month. So we want to see the units sold for each month, just like we're seeing for profit and revenue. Awesome. See, Gilbert saying Tableau is the way to go. I love that. Oh my goodness, Glenn already has it. Well done. So I'll give you a few minutes for this. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them back in live chat. I really want everyone to be, if you're able to, just as much as you can take in with Tableau is amazing. If you're falling behind, then please let us know. We want to help you catch up because all of this is really, really helpful information. And you're doing part 2 on Thursday. So it's really important that we kind of have everything done to make sure we're ready for part 2. Awesome. I'm already seeing it in live chat with different colors. Amazing. Well done, everyone. I love to see it. Awesome. Got it in red. I think we've got all the colors. Anyone else want to change a different color? Let's have the entire rainbow of units sold in live chat. We've almost got them all. Amazing work, everyone. See more typing. We'll give it a few more seconds. Yes. So to set the month, we'll go over this as well, but you'll right click on time key and then you'll click month. That's how you set to month, but we'll go over it as well. Love it. Well done, everyone. So let's go over this together. So first, I realize I didn't have my laser pointer this whole time. How will the cats follow my lecture now? Okay, so what I'm going to do first is click on this worksheet again because we want to create a new worksheet. I love it. See the pink purple? Amazing. So we're going to click on a new worksheet and let's name it something that's actually descriptive of what we're creating. So we're going to say sales over time. And do this. Oh, okay. Sales over time. So we have our sales over time. So we're doing something very similar to revenue and profit. Actually, I'll have you guide me. What is the first thing I need to do? What's the first thing I need to do to create my line chart? See several people typing. I love to see it. And then bird's eye view is just the dashboard. So we haven't done anything to create it yet, but if you want to create the dashboard bird's eye view, you just click on this right here, the window pane, and then rename this. Love it. Everyone's like, units sold, grab units sold. Yes, exactly. We're going to take units sold and put it into rows. So I see my units sold right here. So I'm going to grab it, hold it, drop it into rows. Amazing. And then I think someone was ahead of the game. I see time key in column. Well done, Kimmy. So I'm going to take my time key, which is right here. And then I'm going to drop this into columns. Now I have this weird line. What do I do now? Got this tiny line that's not descriptive. How do I make this into? Yes, we're going to go to show me. Well done. Show me is going to be where all of your visualizations options appear. Exactly. And we're going to go ahead and click on our bigger line. So we don't want this split. Excellent. Okay, we're almost there. It's looking better, but what do we do now? What do I have to click explicitly? What do I do now? Yes. Amazing. Yes, right click on year. So I have to right click on year and I have to change it into month. Excellent. And well done. Now we have it. We have it here. We have our sales over time. Excellent work. And then if you wanted to change the color, like I saw a lot in live chat, which I love to see, you can choose from your beautiful color palette and then click this. And whatever color you choose, it will change that. So change it there. Any questions before we continue? Excellent work. Y'all are going to be Tableau experts in no time. See all good. I see clear. All good. See some more typing. Just want to make sure everyone's okay. Good. Syncing. If you're syncing, let us know how we can help. So I see your line chart. I see. So I think that yours is a bit different. It's kind of confusing. So when you right click here, you notice you have this month and then you have this month. So go ahead, and it's not going to be too different, but go ahead and click on this one. So then we also have the year. So that's all you need to do. Oh, okay, you're good. Okay, great, Gilbert. Okay, glad you're a-okay. No problem. Okay, found your way back. Awesome. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. We'll do one more visualization before the break. I'm loving all the line charts in live chat. That's amazing. Now we're gonna create a grouped bar chart. So again, we're going to use our same base tools. You're going to always use your same kind of core tools of picking your variables and then dragging them to either columns or rows for all of your different visualizations. All your visualizations are going to use that. And of course, you're going to use Show Me to change the different visualizations that you want. So, oh, great question. Why is it giving me different line charts if we change month to year? That's a great question. So if it's giving you a different chart because we're seeing kind of like a zoomed in chart if we have month. So we're seeing the unit sold changes month to month. However, when we zoom out and just look to year, since we only have 2018 and 2019, we only have 2 points of data. In this case, we have many more points of data, and it's going to allow us to make better trends. So overall, if you just wanted to see, okay, in a year, is my units sold, are they high? Is my profit increasing? Is my revenue increasing? Yearly is perfect for that. But if you want to see these month-to-month changes in really precise detail, this is why we need to use the month time key. That's a great question. Okay, and yes, you can have all these visuals on one sheet. We're going to do that at the end, but we're going to eventually take all of our beautiful visualizations and put them onto one sheet, which is going to be our dashboard. So, and then do I need to create a new sheet for every part? Yes. It may seem a bit kind of tedious to create one each time, but it's really important to organize your visualizations, and it makes it easier to create your dashboard because then we can drag them one by one here. So this is where they all appear, just like this. So we're going to build our dashboard from our sheets, which contain our visualizations. Amazing questions. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So, and yeah, those two are just different because one's going to have, it's going to show you the year and one's just going to show you the month. So they look slightly different, but they're just showing you kind of extra x-axis data. But we want the one with the year. And also one extra thing is when you have in our sales over time, when you're looking at month, this is actually just aggregating all of the monthly data as well. So anytime you have May, it's going to take all of your units sold for May and put it in that time point. Anytime you have June, it's taking all the data from June and putting it at that time point. Here, this is continuous. It's looking at your specific year and seeing, okay, in April 2018, how many units did I sell? Versus April 2019, completely different time points. So that's why they're going to look a bit different. So that's a great question. So that's why we want this one, so we can compare across years. We don't want everything just grouped up into one month. So kind of continuous data is this one versus aggregate data, which is going to be this. Okay, so we're going to continue with our exercise 3. So let's go ahead and do this one. And then if there's time, we can definitely backtrack, but we have lots to do. So we're going to try to get everything done first, and then we'll go back in case anyone needs to. So if you're following along with me, we're just on page 12. Now we're going to create revenue and profit grouped bar chart according to the layout we planned. So that outline that we made at the very, very beginning. So of course, we're going to make a new worksheet for this. So I forget who, who asked this. It's like, I have to do this every single time. Oh my gosh. But yes, it's all worth it, I promise. So once we create this new worksheet, we're going to, of course, want to rename it. So this one we'll call profit and revenue by channel. Oh my goodness, Kimmy is already ahead of me. Sanjoy is already ahead of me as well. Amazing. I love to see the visualizations. So we're going to go ahead and create this grouped bar chart. So we have our clean slate, and now let's paint on it. So we're going to start by renaming dollar sold because honestly, dollar sold, it just sounds weird. So to rename things, just like before, like you're renaming this, if I right click and rename, same thing for variables. So if I want to rename dollar sold, I'm going to right click and then click on rename. So now dollar sold is no longer, it is now revenue. So now just keep that in mind because if you're like, where did revenue come from? How do we make this? We just rename dollar sold to revenue. So again, to rename that, we just right click and then click on rename. So now we have this, that's perfect. We're going to continue. So we're going to now use our measure names and measure channels for this after we've renamed it. So we're going to begin creating this. We have our channel because remember, this is profit and revenue by channel. We're going to take channel, which is here, and we're going to take measure names, which is here, and we're going to put this into columns. So if you want to be fancy, you can click and then hold Control and then click on measure names. So to click two things at once, you just have to hold Control. And then we're going to put this into columns. So I'm just going to take this, drag it over to columns. Perfect. Almost done. And then we're also going to take our measure values. So you see our measure values are going to be here. We're going to click and put it into rows. So this is almost what we want. If you've seen some of your peers have posted in live chat, you'll notice that this one is vertical, but theirs are going to be horizontal. So to do this, we need to swap our rows and columns. And you're going to click on this visualizations here. You see if I hover over it, it says swap rows and columns. So I'm just going to click this. And now you see has flipped. So this is one way if you're like, I don't want it vertical, like maybe I'll see how horizontal looks like, then you can just swap your rows and columns. So we really just put it in opposite kind of ways so you can see the swap rows and columns feature because that's going to be important. So we actually only want to look at, remember, profit and revenue. So we have all these other things. Let's get rid of them. We only want to keep profit and revenue. So, and then swap is right here. It's next to, I don't know how to describe this. It's right here at the top. Yes, forgot my annotate. Sorry about that. Let me get it back. It disappears like every so often. I don't know why. There you go. It is right here. So rows and columns right here. So we're going to get rid of everything that is not profit and revenue. So to get rid of it, you just click it and drag it away. Click, drag away until we only have profit and revenue. And then, as before, if you want to change your colors, you can. We can make this red if we want to. That's okay, that's really bright. Maybe not. Let's just change it back to blue. But if you want to change your color, you can right here. Then I saw a question before. How is dollar sold different than unit price? So dollar sold is going to be our revenue, and the unit price, it should be, ideally if our data is correct, unit price should be how much we're charging per item. So that should be the difference in our data. And so yes, it does not change. It's not going to automatically change dollar sold to revenue. That's something you have to rename. So to rename dollars sold, remember what you'll do is you'll just right click and then click rename, and then you'll just type in revenue instead. So, and then Patrick's like, why didn't we just drag in profit and revenue? Yes, you can do that too. So you can just drag in profit and revenue right away. A cool feature kind of with the measure names and measure values is if you want to just look at all of your numerical variables all at once, you can see them all in one place. So that's helpful for that. So it's mainly to show you how that looks like in case you want to use it in the future. But you could just select for profit and revenue. And I'm just looking at questions. How did I click and drag? My annotate is, I don't know why it's doing that. It's just leaves, just checks out sometimes. So to click and drag, what I just do is if you mean clicking two things at once, so I'll just click on channel and then hold control on my keyboard. Then I'll click on measure names and I'll just click on one of them and hold my mouse down. And then I just drag it. So that's what I mean by click and drag. And yes, exactly. Remove everything from here except for profit and revenue. So in here, so yes, you'll see within measure values. So this is called measure values. Normally, let's just do this again. So we want channel. So I click on channel. And then after this, we'll take our break. I'm not going to eat into your break, don't worry. We're going to click on channel, hold down control, click measure names. Then I'm going to click and hold, drag this over to columns just for learning purposes. And I have those two in columns. That's great. I click measure values, which is in the numerical section at the very bottom. Click, hold, put it in rows. This is vertical. I don't want it to be vertical, so I'm going to flip my rows and columns with this button here. So right here. So I click and I flip. And after I've done that, I think actually it doesn't show me all the measure values because it's like, oh, you got rid of them all last time. I'm just keeping what you have before. But if this is the first time you've made this, what you should see is kind of every numerical value. You should see cost, customer age, profit, revenue, total cost. Everything here is what you would see. However, we only want profit and revenue. So we get rid of things by just clicking and dragging them out here. So if I wanted to get rid of profit, I do that, but I don't really want to do that. So I'll just remake this. So to get rid of something, you just drag it out and drag everything out until you only have profit and revenue. So there, like in the screenshot, you have your dollars sold and you have, so make sure, double check that you've made your profit because every numerical kind of value that you have here should appear here. So if you've made your profit, it should show up here, but I did see dollars sold. So double check your variables there. Okay, so let's go ahead and yes, take our break. I'll still be here if you have any questions, if you just need some help catching up, I'll still answer them via Slack. And let's take our 10-minute break and then we'll hop back into it. Hello, everyone. I hope you had an amazing break. So I tried to get to most of your questions. If I wasn't able to get to it now, I'll definitely get to it after the lecture ends. So let's just start where we left off. Let me share my screen. Tableau. Okay. And then I did see one question. So I think the question was, what's the difference or kind of what are the measure names and measure values? So measure names are just going to be essentially all of your categorical variables. So things that have to do with a name. So like the channel, that's going to be a specific location. That's a name. Customer age group. So this tells me it's going to be a string, which means it's some type of name. So anything to do with letters, those are going to be in your measure names. So anything that has ABC next to it. But then everything else that has this hash symbol next to it here, So I'll get my annotation back. Where's Zoom? So anything that has this hash symbol next to it, that's going to be belonging to measure values. So anything that's numerical. So that's why initially, when you kind of create this when you create this visualization, it's going to have all of your values, everything that has a number next to it populated here. So that's just the difference between your measure names and measure values. Okay, so let's continue just for the sake of time. So we just left off on exercise 3. So now what I would like you to do is create a bar chart that is showing sales. So AKA units sold by channel. So again, you're going to do something very, very similar. You're just going to change one of the variables that you're using, but create a bar chart, essentially just like this one, that is showing the units sold by channel. And yes, this is going to be in a new sheet. So unfortunately, if Tableau crashes, that's kind of, I guess let's introduce save right now, just in case. So feel free to start working on exercise 4 in the meantime. But to save Tableau, if you've downloaded the newer versions, because the older versions of Tableau didn't used to have this. So you can just save here. You can save Tableau and save it as a Tableau workbook. And it's going to be, you see, saved as a Tableau workbook on your computer. You can do this. Or what you can do is File, Save to Tableau Public. However, when you save to Tableau Public, it's going to ask you to sign in because it's going to post it to your Tableau account. So you'll notice I'm just seeing book 1 right here, but it's going to save all of this to my Tableau account where anyone can view it. So just keep that in mind that you can save it there. That's totally fine, but other people will be able to view it if you do it this way. Okay, so just for saving. All right, amazing. I see a lot of visualizations in live chat. Well done. I see the different colors. So remember, if we want to change this from the blue to the very, very eye-hurting bright red, to do that, we'll click on color. And then I'm going to click on whatever color I want and then change it to that bright red that hurts my eyes. So let's now create our bar chart with our units sold. So let's go ahead and do that. So yes, we've got to create our new sheet. So we're going to create a new sheet right here. And then let's properly name this. So we're going to say units sold by channel. Amazing. I've got a blue, I've got a yellow. I love the different color schemes. It's awesome. We've got a dual color scheme. Ooh, fancy, very fancy. So let's create these fancy charts as well. Well done. So we know before, if we're looking here, you know before we had our channel and measure names together. And then we want to compare this with our measure values if we just want to kind of look at everything together. So again, if you want to do this, what we can do is instead of channel, now we're looking at units sold. So I'm going to click on units sold. I'm going to hold Control. I'm going to click on measure names. And then we're going to just put this in columns again. So why not? So we have this here. We're almost done. And we want to compare this with our measure values. So again, our measure values are going to create these aggregates. So it's creating kind of an aggregate of everything. And you can change it to whatever you'd like it to be. You can actually change this instead. If we wanted to have, instead of sum, we could change this to average or median or count. We can change it to anything you want. So you'll notice this is not quite what we want yet, but this is kind of cool, like looking at these different points. So we have to go to our handy dandy show me, and my annotation is peeking out. So we're going to go to show me. And then we're going to go ahead and click on our horizontal bars. And then you see we have everything here. So, oops, sorry, I forgot channel. So I kicked channel out of there. I wasn't supposed to. So let's do it once more with feeling. So essentially we're going to do everything just like this, and we're going to add units sold. So we're going to add units sold to our measurement tool. So let's keep channel, and we're going to keep measure names. And then we're going to go ahead and take our measure values. So now we know that our switch rows and columns is here. So we know it's right here. So now we can make it horizontal. And this time we're dumping everything instead that is not going to be units sold. So that's going to be our difference here. So just get rid of everything else. And there you have it. Of course, you could just drag these directly. You could drag these to columns and rows directly, and then just drag your units sold to measure values. That's okay too, but whichever way you want to do it. So just keep in mind that your show me is going to be where you can change all these visualizations if you want to. And of course, if we want to change the color back to the red, there we have it, back to the red. So essentially, it's the exact same thing that we did for our previous visualization. The only difference was we got rid of everything except units sold. Yeah, so for deleting the values, so what I do is I just click and drag away. And when I click and drag away, it just gets rid of it. So click, drag away, click, drag away. You don't see channel anymore. So you should see channel because it's going to be what we dragged into rows. So it's essentially just like for a profit and revenue by channel. It's the exact same thing we're dragging to columns and rows. We just kind of removed everything except for units sold this time. Yeah, if you want to play around with colors, one thing you could do, maybe I want this to be a specific color. I can click on that, and then I can make, or actually no, I think control click maybe. I don't play around with colors too much, so it's something different. Those of you that have done this, I think you have to do something a bit different in formatting, but I don't want to spend too much time on that because I know colors are fun, but we've got data to do. So that'll be something to explore a bit later. But if you want to do it by units, it's going to be involved in formatting things. So you're going to have to format everything differently. So you have some colors you can play around with. You can change the text, but you're going to have to go into formatting and kind of like change everything manually. Okay. Okay. Everyone okay with our units sold by channel? Awesome. And I know some of us aren't the fan of red. I'm only doing red to match the logo. So you'll see our logo for Simply Music has a lot of red in it. So I'm just trying to make everything red to match that. Okay. Awesome. I see the all clears. I see thumbs up. Love to see it. Let's continue. So now we have almost got everything that we need. Let's just figure out how to add these different things to, let's figure out how to add our different things to our dashboard. So I won't go into too much detail for this because I feel like with organizing, you can spend just years on this, but I will give you some tips. So you notice that we have all of our different, we have all of our different visualizations on the left here. And another thing that you can do, you notice that right now my dashboard's a bit small. If you change the size right here, if you click here, I can change the size. If you want a specific range, that's fine. If you want a fixed size, that's okay too. But I can change this to automatic, and you see now it just fits my screen. So keep in mind, this actually can affect how your dashboard is displayed. So make sure you have the size that you're happy with. Yes, the pointer, it keeps going away. So you'll notice here that we have all of our different visualizations. And then again, just in case you couldn't see it, to get rid or to change the size, I just click on this arrow. I chose automatic, but if you want a fixed size, you can choose your own custom size. And if you want it to fit your screen, just put in your screen aspect ratio. However, you can also just ask it to be automatic and it will just fit your window. So it'll just maximize the window. So if I want to start building my dashboard, so we can start with our revenue versus profit, I can click and just drag. So I'm just clicking and dragging and then releasing. you might notice like, oh my gosh, this is huge. And we don't want it to be this big. We don't necessarily want it to take up our entire dashboard. You have a few options to kind of deal with this. If you want it to just automatically fit together, what you can do is click and drag and just kind of hold these in a way to where it's either underneath, or you see it's going to be to the right side or to the left side. So you'll see if I put it right here, you'll see my visualizations are now side by side. That's kind of what that gray area that you saw when I was clicking and holding is showing you. You can kind of place it where you want to. I don't like this as much. I don't really like doing that. What I prefer is the floating tile. So now if I right click this, or actually if I click on this arrow, it's a bit easier. If I click on this arrow, you'll notice I have a lot of different options. And if I look down here, and sorry, the pointer went away again, but if I click to floating, you see I can click on floating, and now I can move this around however I want to. So I can drag and then move this around to wherever I want it to be. Before, I actually couldn't do that. Tableau wouldn't let me do that before I made it floating. So I like floating because I have a lot of like choice on where I want to put this. But if you prefer just having kind of like the snap, then that's okay too. So same thing for this, for my legend. If I wanted to kind of arrange this, so this one, I can remove it if I want to, but I can make it floating as well. And I can hide it kind of in here if I want to. So you can kind of change things like this in a bit of a nicer way. So that's why I like floating. So again, if I wanted to add another visualization, so if I want to add sales over time now, click, drag it here, drag it down here. If I just choose the gray area, this is telling me where it's going to be placed. So you see I'm clicking, I'm dragging it here, it's going to be placed to the left side. I click and drag here, it's going to be placed within this rectangle. If I hover down here, it's going to be placed at the bottom. So this, to me, I don't really like. I think this is a bit too wide for me. So I want to make this floating. Personally, it's your personal choice for this, of course, but I would want to make this floating so I can kind of pick and choose where I want to put my graphs. Again, to do that, we're going to click on this arrow. We're going to click on more options, and then we click on floating. So then now I can just move this around anywhere, and I can kind of put it to how I'd like to. So another thing that you can do is you can see if I just, amazing, some of you have already just made the dashboard, well done, love it. Another thing you can do is you can change some of the text. So you'll see if I double click this, I can change the size of my text, I can make it bold, I can make it a different font. Or if I click on this, if I just double clicked on profit on the blue square here, if I double click the blue square, I can change the color. So maybe instead of orange, I want to make this red. And maybe instead of, or sorry, red, whatever color it was, instead of having this orange, I want to make this gray. So by just clicking on the blue square instead of the text, I can change. And so you see it applies it here. Okay, yeah, which part isn't clear? Happy to repeat. See some typing. Well done, Kimmy. Oh, change the size. Okay, yeah. So to change the size of the charts, what I do is I click on more options. I change this to floating. Then once I've changed it to floating, I can manipulate it very easily. So if I want to make this bigger, you see I just make it bigger. I click the corner, kind of like you're adjusting an image in like Microsoft Word, and then I just drag it like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, no worries. Oops. Oh, colors, yeah. So if I want to change the colors, so I'm just going to double click on the square, and then it's going to open up these color palettes. And then I can, if I want to change profit, you see profits highlighted first. I just choose what color I want it to be. And then for revenue, I click on revenue and then choose what color. Okay. All right. Yeah, no problem. And then how did I move from one chart to the other? If you mean how did I insert the different charts? So to do that, you just kind of click and drag. So you'll click and drag and then release. If you put it here, if you put it smack dab here, it's going to overlap. So you don't want it to be just smack dab in the middle. One thing with floating is floating kind of puts everything in front. And then you can, everything else, if you just drag it, it'll be in the background. That's, I guess, a downside of floating. So if you're dragging it, what you want to do is you don't want to just put it in the middle where everything gray is highlighted. You want to put it a little bit lower. So like down here where there's no overlap. And now you see it's a bit better. So that's going to be a bit better. Awesome. Okay. And then dashboard format, it really depends on your screen. So it's more on your screen, and then you can translate your screen to how it looks visually. I have a very wide screen, so I have to play around with this a lot. But commonly, just set it to kind of what your window is. Automatic's okay. But when you upload it and make it a dashboard, then you can play around with it a bit more if it looks weird. But automatic will just change it based on your device. So that's really helpful. And this is the dashboard. So to actually get to this, what you just do is we're working on bird's eye view. So you just click on bird's eye view right here. So you just click on this. And then afterwards, if you want to actually save it to Tableau Public, then you'll click File, Save to Tableau Public. So save to Tableau Public, and then you'll be able to see your dashboard and worksheets there. And yep, for colors, double click here, and then you can click and decide which color you want to change. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to put everything on the dashboard just for the sake of time, but you're definitely welcome to. I see a lot of you have already done this already, which is awesome. So play around with that. And again, make sure you save your workbook. So once you're happy with your dashboard, go ahead, File, Save to Tableau Public. It's going to make you log in. Once it does, it's going to, or once you log in, it's going to think for a bit, and then it will upload to Tableau Public, and everyone can see your beautiful dashboard, which I love seeing in live chat. Well done. Okay, amazing. So we have a few other things that we can do. So you can also add a filter. So remember the video game dashboard that we saw, we could actually change the range and change the year to see what data was applicable only to that year. So this is going to be very helpful to add to our dashboard. So let's go ahead and do this. So we have to edit this from our initial dashboard. So it doesn't matter which visualization you choose, as long as you click apply to all data sources. But don't worry about that too much. I'm gonna tell you this in a moment. So we're going to go ahead and look at our revenue versus profit. So we're going to look at our revenue versus profit visualization. So you see that we're going to now add a new data source. So we're going to add a filter. So you see up here, we're going to have filters that we can add. And of course, we're going to add our handy dandy time key. I think time key has been the MVP for today overall. So we're going to take time key, which is right here. We're going to click and drag to filters. And you see, once you do this, it's going to say, okay, what do you want me to include? Do you want me to just include years? Do you want quarters? Do you want months? For this one, we want to select range of dates. And this is just going to be the range of dates from the start of our data to the end of our data. So the earliest, like the very first day we've collected our data, to the very last day. So we're going to click on this and then click next. And then you don't have to touch this at all. This is fine the way it is. So once you get to range of dates, you're just going to hit OK. So hit OK once more. And then you see you now have a time key. However, we have to do one more extra thing. So we're going to do one more thing. So you see that we have, sorry, what I did here was I right click on time key. So I'm going to right click on time key. And you see it says apply to worksheets. And this is Tableau is asking you, do you want to apply this filter to all worksheets? Or where do you want to apply this filter? You'll see that right now, only this worksheet is selected. So that means we only have this filter applicable to this visualization. That's not really what we want, because that means your visualization can be changed for just one, but not for all of the others on your dashboard, which is not good. So we're going to say instead all using this data source. So all using this data source. So that means everything using this data, we want it to be changed. So everything here is using the same data, so everything will be changed. So we have that, which is great. And if we go to our other visualizations, you'll see we now have this time key. So we have these time keys here now. So that is our first step. And now we have to just add it to our dashboard. So we're going to go back to our dashboard, back to bird's eye view. And now you see, you can actually click on any one of them, but I'll just click on revenue and profit. So now when I click here, I'm going to go down to filters, and then I'm going to hit on time key. So I'm going to click time key. It's hard to see because it kind of appeared here, but this is going to be my new filter. So this is how I can filter my data. So place this wherever you would like to, wherever it's kind of neat and convenient. And now I can change this range, and you see all of my data on my dashboard will change as well, based upon whatever range of data this is. So this is pretty cool, and it's a very handy tool as well. Yeah, it's awesome. I love the wow. So yes, so for time key, so what we did was you can go to any different visualization. What you'll do is you're going to click time key, drag it onto filters. So you drag it over to filters. Then after that, it's going to ask you, well, actually, once you do this, I don't think it'll ask you anything quite yet. So we'll just do it again, because I can't remember the steps of what it's going to ask you. So we'll drag the time key over here. So now this is going to appear. So we're going to click range of, okay, it asks you. Awesome. So now we'll click range of dates. And then we're going to click next. Don't touch any of this. This is totally fine. Then you'll just hit OK. So one more thing. We need to right click on this. And then we're going to hover over to apply to worksheets and say all using this data source. So everything is going to get this filter. That's important. Now we have our filter. So everything has the filter. We go back to our bird's eye view dashboard. And if we didn't have that, so you can click on any visualization because all of them have your filter now. But you're going to click on more options. So you're going to click on more options. Then you're going to go to filters and then click on time key. So click time key. Then you see it's hiding here, but this is going to be our filter. So then if we change this, all of our visualizations are going to change. Yep, exactly. So adding this allows any person that's looking at your dashboard, if they say, oh, well, actually, I want to see what were sales like around the holidays. So how were you all doing during the holidays? So they can look at their range of data and see how the revenue and profit, as well as the sales over time, looked. So it allows users to pick and choose to see the data that they want, and it makes it easier to see trends in specific periods. Awesome. Any other questions? Everyone okay with adding that filter? Is that okay? Great. I see some already in live chat, which is awesome. Great. Okay, so let's continue. Well done. I see some time keys. All right. So now I'm sure we also want to add our Simply Music logo. Oh yes, we'll add a scorecard. Don't worry, we'll add the scorecard in a moment too. But first, let me give you the logo. Oops, double click something accidentally. So I'm sure you also want to know how to make our Simply Music logo. So I'm putting it in live chat. So this is the logo that we're going to use. If you want to add the logo to your dashboard, make sure that you're still on this dashboard. So make sure you're still on this dashboard here. And you'll know we have these different things, objects. So we have objects in the bottom left-hand corner, and we can upload an image. So we can add an image to our dashboard as well. So we're going to click and drag, and you'll be able to move this later. But once you click image and then drag it here, it's going to say, okay, where am I getting this image from? And you're going to download that Simply Music logo I just put in live chat. And then I'm going to have to find it. It's here. So you're going to use it there, and you're going to click open. Then you see it's going to be right there. After you click open, I'll click OK. And it's hidden behind here. So let's go ahead and make it floating to make it. Oh, it is floating. Perfect. Oops. Don't want to unfloat it. So you see I can click. I can grab it. Can click it. Move this first. So let me make it floating now. So now I can move it around. That's one of the benefits with floating. You can actually manipulate it. And put this back. Great. So now I can resize it. I can move it anywhere. I can put this anywhere I want. So you can put this maybe in one of the corners, whichever you prefer, and make it official. So you can put your company logo there for your dashboard and make it a bit prettier. And maybe adjust these however you'd like to make your dashboard pretty. So just information on how to add that image. But I really feel like organizing your dashboard you can do for eons, so you can be very picky with it. But you can organize however you like. Just make sure all of your visualizations aren't too cluttered together. You want to give them a lot of space. Yep, so to add the image, what you do is you click in objects. So you'll see you have all these things in objects. I click on image, I drag it to my dashboard, and then I have to just choose where my file is. So I just choose my file, whichever file you want to. And once it's here, you just click OK. So your time key, if you just click on it, it should just move automatically. Once you click on it, it should move. If it's not moving, then just click more options and then make it floating. So you just make it floating. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, pretty much everything you need, make it floating. That's what I prefer, but I just find it's easier to just make it floating so you can kind of move it around how you like to. Exactly. And then I saw before just a quick repeat for the filter. So remember for the filter, to do this, I guess we did it on revenue versus profit, but it doesn't matter which one you apply it to. So you drag time key here. Where did it go? There it is. Time key to filters. Range of dates. So range of dates. Next. This is fine. Keep it on range of dates. Okay. Then right click. You're going to go to apply to worksheets, all using this data source. Then when you're in bird's eye view, you have to just make sure that you add the filter. So add the filter, I click on the arrow, I go to filters, and then I click time key. And once you click time key on your dashboard, this time key appears. Awesome, I love the dashboards in live chat. And then I saw earlier in live chat, someone's like, okay, where's the scorecard? I can't complete my dashboard. How do I make the scorecard? Yes, I have got you covered. Let's make our scorecards. So I will make one with you, and then I will allow you to make the other ones, because scorecards I feel like are going to be the most straightforward. So to do this, I'll do units sold. So what you'll do, as per usual, you have to create a new visualization. So we have to create a new worksheet. So create a new worksheet here. And I just want this, let's say, to be units sold. So to make a scorecard, I'm going to do it in like maybe 2.5 seconds. So for units sold, I have to locate units sold. I click, I hold, drag it right to the middle. So drag it right to the middle, and then boom, there's your scorecard, just like that. So then you see now we have units sold right here. So then to complete your dashboard, amazing. I love what I'm seeing in live chat. Well done. Let's move on to exercise 5, and let's go ahead and make profit and revenue. So I already made units sold for you, but go ahead and make profit and revenue. So for your scorecard, to make this, what you do is you take units sold in this case, or take whatever variable you want to make a scorecard from. You click, you drag, you make sure you're letting go right smack dab in the middle, and then it creates this scorecard. So go ahead, we've done units sold. Now go ahead and make profit and revenue as well. Yes, so for scorecards, you'll need a different scorecard for each. Yep, so they're just like the visualizations, they have to be separate. Yeah, no problem. Yep, and then so for our dashboards, we'll show you how to put them in once everyone's okay with profit and revenue, I'll show you how to put them in the dashboard. But they're going to be the same, just treat them as visualizations. So essentially they're just going to be like visualizations. Awesome, I see some in the live chat. Love it. So for this one, this is actually technically a table. So if you have both of them together, if you add more than one variable, that's going to be a table. If you have just one that's giving the count, that's going to be a scorecard. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, so those should be separate. I know it seems like a waste of worksheet space, but for scorecards, it's okay to make them separate. Okay, so just for the sake of time, let's go ahead and make the rest. So let's make profit. So I'm going to type profit here. And then we're going to look for our profit. So profit is right here. I click on profit, drag right to the middle, and then you see it's making my profit scorecard right up here. A lot of worksheets. Yes, it is. That's why it's so important to name them properly. Because if you have a bunch of sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, you're not going to know like what is what. You'll have to rely on your kind of mini visualizations. So then we'll do one more. So we're going to do revenue now. So we'll click again, new worksheet. And then we're going to look for revenue, which is right here. I'm going to click revenue, drop it right smack dab in the middle. And now you see I called it sheet 10. So it says sheet 10 right now. I have to double click and rename this to revenue. And now I have revenue. So that's pretty good. That's a lot of revenue. But of course, you have to consider profit, which is still a very high amount. That's really good. Good profit. Then to go to the question, okay, how do we add this to our main dashboard? So what we do is we go back to our bird's eye view, and you see we now have the scorecards. So we have units sold, we have profit, and we have revenue. So we're going to treat these, and you might guess, yes, we're going to make them floating. So you see, if I don't make this floating, it's taking up all of this space for just this little thing, which it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and click on more options and make this floating. So you can make this as big or small as you want to. I think it's okay if it's kind of a smaller box here. So then if I want to put units sold up here, however you want to put it, that's perfectly fine. Then I take profit, make it floating, and then make it a bit smaller. Put profit up here. Last but not least, revenue. Revenue's there. Make it floating. And then put it up here. So you'll notice that revenue looks weird. What we can do is you can change your font a bit. Like maybe we can make it a little smaller. No, okay. So with this, we can change our formatting here. Revenue always does this, but to double click, we can try to center it. I think maybe if we center it, it'll be okay. So you see if when I double click it, you can change your font. I can change the size. I can make it bold if I want to. You can change the color of the font. Anything is fine here. So yeah, I'm not sure why it's mad about that, but it insists on making this revenue with the E at the end. So I think actually if I fit, so if we fit the width, there we go. We can make it like this. So to kind of get everything on one, you can click fit. You can either, I think fit the width will be, or actually fit entire view is probably best. Not much of a difference there, but it makes it a little bit better. So we have this here. And yep, fit width, exactly. So either, if you want to fit width or entire view, either will be okay. And then I'm not sure what you mean by fetch over dashboard. But any other questions about this? Any other questions? You have done a lot of work. You have made your first dashboard. I know, ignore this. I glossed over kind of making it pretty because I wanted to kind of prioritize getting all of our visualizations done. So you're A-okay and ready to go for part 2 when you create your detailed view. But you have created your first dashboard, maybe not first for all of you, but you created your Simply Music dashboard in Tableau. And well done to all of you, especially I know it was a lot of people's first time working with Tableau. And it was a lot thrown at you, but you all did amazing. So yes, how to change the scorecard to floating. So just treat this as a visualization. So we just click on it. We're going to click this more options here, and then go down to floating. Oh yeah, with fit, yes, definitely. So how do we make sure revenue doesn't have that weird kind of E at the end? So what you'll do is you're going to think it was here. We're going to click on this arrow again. We're going to hover over to fit, and then you just click on entire view. So once you click entire view, then revenue won't do the weird E thing anymore. Awesome. And then, so repeat which part for profit and revenue? Repeat how to make the scorecard, or which one? Scorecard, yeah. So if we're making the scorecard, you just treat it just like a visualization. So to make the scorecard, I just take profit, drag it right to the center, and then it'll make this new. And then same thing for revenue. I click, take revenue, drop it right in the middle, and then it'll make revenue. Yeah, and that's a great point. So it's definitely good to really play around with Tableau. So if you play around with Tableau a lot, it's going to be really helpful because then you'll be more comfortable with it. You'll learn formatting, you'll learn new visualizations. Practice is how we learn best. So highly recommend play around with the charts, click random buttons. It's okay, you're not going to break it. Just make sure to save every now and then just in case. But highly encourage you to do that. That's the best way to learn. And so the scorecards, I would recommend aligning them themselves. So just trying to make sure that the boxes are even. So you have to be a little picky and making sure the boxes are even. And then you just have to make sure everything is centered together. So you have to play around with the formatting. So right click, format, play around with this a bit, make sure it's centered. So Yes, it requires a bit of playing around with the font. That's the only thing. So you can play around with the header. You can pick center if you want. You can pick the text, the grand total, could be center, pane. Yeah. So it's a lot of just like going into here and playing around with stuff. Yes, no need if your dashboard is ugly, that's okay. But if you got the visualizations, you have plenty of time, like when you're making with dashboard, when you're making dashboards, whenever, to play around and make them pretty. So that's the more fun and final step. But you've got the visualizations, that's where the hard work is. So well done. Okay. So make sure file, save. You can either click save or save to Tableau public. Just remember clicking save to Tableau public will upload it online so other people can potentially see it, just so you know. But just make sure to save this. Very, very, very important. Red alert, make sure to save because you'll be using this on Thursday. So you'll be picking up from where we left off on Thursday and making the just bit my tongue. Make sure you're using the detailed view. So just make sure you're saving. I'm begging you, please save so you don't have to redo all of this on Thursday. Okay, but well done. It was a pleasure seeing all of you again. I'm going to give you that 5 minutes left for announcements in your Zoom poll, but amazing work. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.